Um, what I wanted to ask you is that there seems to be two different schools of thought that have to do with the standing hip and its relationship to the free hip, and this has been driving me nuts. Because if I'm standing on this leg,
Yeah.
the one school of thought that they taught us at DNI and that you taught us is that the free hip is actually a little bit higher than the standing hip, because um this allows me to um fully extend the pushing leg when I'm taking a step. So I'm working on extending the leg that remains behind. It allows me to engage the standing hip because um, somebody said it, and I don't know who it was, but that if I build my body on top of the standing hip like this, it's actually engaged. When it's above the other one, I'm actually hanging the body on the standing hip and it's not engaged. And then so it builds the mass on top of the support. So in other words, my point of gravity is shifted slightly toward the standing leg, which kind of makes sense because I'm building my body above it. And this engages the entire spiral. So if we treat our body as a spiral from the left leg to the right arm and the other way, like a big X in our body, then it engages the entire spiral going from the standing leg up over here. And this allows me to also have this visual of legs begin around my belly button. Like if my legs begin up here, then I can utilize the spine in order to have longer legs this way. Do you see what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it can go back to the walking sit bones exercise. I don't know if you've done this or not, or if we did this in your class, but if you sit on the floor and you then just use your sit bones to walk forward and back. And this same motion applies when walking, basically, with this natural way, the way how nature intended the walk. So if everything is okay so far, then the other way, I guess, is that the standing hip is actually above the free hip. And this has to do with aesthetics. So especially with like adornos and like wrapping the free leg, it makes the free leg a bit longer this way. And this is kind of the purpose of this direction. So when walking, this allows to extend the projecting leg. So if my projecting leg sits a little bit lower, closer to the floor, then it allows me to project the walking leg further. And that's kind of the difference with the previous one. And if I understand correctly, it's kind of like hanging a coat on a rack. Like you're hanging your body on the standing hip. And that's why it cannot really be fully engaged. And if I understand correctly, this breaks the spiral. This X spiral is no longer working because it's broken exactly in the pelvis hip joint. And then the sit bones walking exercise doesn't work anymore in this case. And I wonder if it's actually reversed when walking this way, or is it just different timing? So that's kind of one of the questions is what's the, because if I'm walking forward with the previous way, the natural way, my sit bones were doing this in order to walk on the floor and this in order to walk back.
Yeah.
But with this aesthetic way, is it that my sit bones are going to be doing the reverse when walking forward and reverse when walking back?
I mean, still in the walking, either if you go walk forward or walk backwards, yes, you have two ways of, you can have this option also of going through down, or either you go through up, either you go through down. But I think you will keep the spiral, and I think what it matters, or what it makes different, is the acceleration of the free leg. Because when so there is still gonna be spiral, and you can go in this way. Anyway, one is gonna go forward and one is gonna go backwards, like undercurve with an undercurve or with an overcurve.
Exactly. Okay.
So then the walking with the sit bones exercise, I think it's still valuable for both cases, because I would I don't know, depending on what you put the focus on the exercise, let's say, but if you're doing this walking with the sit bones in order for them to understand this opposite action, of the hips, that as one goes forward, the other one goes backwards, even if you go through up, either if you go through down.
But it sounds like if I'm going to be doing the sit bones exercise, then if we're doing the under what you said, then the direction is going to be opposite.
See, yeah, true.
Okay, so in other words, the sit bones dynamic is reversed between these two systems.
See, and like the only thing that it's I think it's changing is that in one, the first option, let's say, the free leg or the free side hip is going above the support. Yes. And in the other one is the opposite. The support is the one that the support is being over. Yes. And the free one is below.
Exactly.
That's the difference. And yes, this, I think it's gonna as you said, it's gonna be influencing the spiral. Doesn't mean that the spiral will not happen. Maybe it happens, but in different coordination of tones in the body. So maybe you have regions that are more loose and that are not necessarily really working in a about the types of contraction that the muscles have. Like it can be eccentric contraction, what it's called. No, eccentric, I think it's in English. It's when the muscle contract, but it's still it's lengthening itself. And that's what we do, for example, when we hold when we do abdominals like this, the abdominals are contracting, are making force, but at the same time they're lengthening through the belly. Yeah. And then the normal abdominal, which is this one, that will make a concentric contraction on the muscles, which would be that the fibers of the muscles are going towards the center of the muscle. So in terms of spiral, on that moment, if you go above, like if you go on the top of the support, then the spiral is going to be more equalized. Let's say the forces and the contractions through the whole trunk are going to be more equalized with the more tensegrity, let's say, unity.
Yeah.
And if you go through down, which there might be regions that has to work concentrically and some other regions that has to work eccentrically.
Okay.
Or maybe loose, even without
Yeah, I
contracting.
would probably guess even be a little bit loose, because if I'm hanging on this hip that I'm standing on, it cannot be fully engaged. Like there are some muscle groups that are building my my body weight on top of this standing hip this way, but when I'm hanging on it, they are not activated. They cannot be activated. So it almost sounds like that part of the spiral is not taking part in the walk, and it's more serving as aesthetic
Totally.
of the walk. And then the other, what brings this
unless you want to fall. If you want to fall, then it's useful.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to do from here a voleo where it goes into a volcada.
Yeah.
Then that's a moment where you could, because you will start falling and then maybe catching up again, this bridge structure, but you can start falling. So that is useful because it's mass, it's inertia going to be taking over and helping you to fall and then recover.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and we can come back to this, but I just want to get back to originally why this came. It kept bugging me, was that it seems like without the engaged hips, these joints and the muscles that engage the hip, it seems like there's not enough power to push my partner. Like if she's not engaging her hips this way, and we want to do something more powerful, with more dynamic, with more energy, then it's simply not going to happen.
Yeah, it can happen, but it's just that it costs more effort.
So it's going to cost more effort on the other parts of the leg, of the trunk.
Yeah, where the energy has to escape through, let's say. And it can be that for example, either that there are some muscles that gets too tense and that they need to overwork to deal with that. And that can also influence at the end on those muscles are gonna try to stop the energy that it's coming from instead of redirecting. Because when you receive an impact, what the body does, if it's not ready to take it in the system and let it pass through, what it does is to freeze, is to hold, is to create against that, so that the body protects itself of receiving some force that could, send parts in different directions strongly. So that's an instinct that the body has. And the follower in that case is going to be receiving that with tension, and that it's going to, of course, at the end, the result is going to be very different. She is not going to be using the energy and probably not being able neither to decode the right vector of the energy for the escaping of the energy, for the escaping through the movement.
Because
and also it can also affect to the joint surfaces, so that the hip joint of the support leg, it's as it is collapsed and it's more compressed, let's say, it can get in a position where the joint itself is not aligned, and it makes that the joint surfaces starts to have more friction one with each other, and that can like in a long term or in a very extreme situation, it can it can also inflammate, or get inflammation. And if you hold that as a practice, if you have that as a regular practice, then yes, it can lead into arthrosis, or like the degenerative of the bone. So but it makes it in a very slow way that you actually don't realize until you have it.
Right.
That's why it's so important prevent and understand the movements rather than
treat the problem.
rather than choose aesthetics.
Yeah, it's interesting. So then would you say the aesthetics is more for the feminine, for the ladies dancing? Because I mean, I've seen guys do this, but it's not very often. So like, do you know where the aesthetic idea about this comes from? Is it the swinging hips when walking? Is it because I just recently watched a video that explains why women tend to sway their hips when they walk, and it has to do with the fact that women's pelvis is a different shape. It's wider and shorter, while guys are narrower and longer.
Yeah. But bueno, if you see an African, like they really swing anyway the pelvis.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So
but yes, the channel it's more vertical, and for us can be also including more, and also we are softer, usually in the tone of the body. Usually, men has more fibers and have more tone. So then the, let's say, the elastic recoil, I don't know if we talk about the elastic recoil, but like this elasticity, it's shorter in dynamic. The man needs to be faster. The man needs to be like more, for running, and the woman needs to be actually adaptable and ready to have a baby inside.
Yeah. I still don't know how you do that.
I don't know how I do that.
So then, would you say that, okay, so part of the reason for having the legs begin in the belly button is to have longer legs, to take bigger steps and so on. And this is useful, and I've tried this and it works. But let's say somebody who already has long legs, maybe she doesn't need to make her legs even longer. Would you say that the aesthetic option would be her better choice because, hey, she's already, she's good? Like, would that make sense?
I would say many things about it, but like, I think if like the idea of the legs starting more from the ribs or from the belly button can be an exercise, because we relate to movement through sensation, and as wider the panel or the fan of sensations that we can explore and experiment in the body, it's going to be the result of how well or how precise you calibrate the movement then. But I think one, it's get the experience of a longer leg. And another thing is making it as the choice, the only choice.
Right.
And that's where I feel it's like a lot of, like we try to simplify when we teach tango, we try to simplify, but at the end, kind of like we get lost and we get too simple in that. So sometimes for some people can really work well to make the exercise to feel from there and to feel how the vectors travels more vertical for them, no? But then if you put the level of it and say the tango is like that.
Mhm.
That's the problem, I feel,
Yeah, that's
and then like women that has longer legs already, they don't even need to imagine that, because maybe they already like they already got the sensation inside. So actually they might get to understand how to keep balance into this taller verticality they have,
Mhm.
this thinner axis that they need to build. Or
Right.
I would go more for like that explanation of these things that we tend to make our points valuable. We need to like discard all the options. It's
Right.
like, like it doesn't need to be so extreme. No, if you don't.
Yeah, and I totally agree with this. So would you say then that the aesthetic way would work better for adornos, for example, for places where like for example what you were saying where she's falling
Yeah.
about to go into Volcada, and places like that, like
Mhm.
Boleos, like many other things,
Yeah.
and the natural way, the where the standing hip is engaged, would
Yeah.
work more for walking and steps.
Um, See, I mean, for sure, like if you want to be stable, you need to be on the support, on the standing leg, and on the support.
Uh-huh.
Like an stability that it's built up by like a relationship between compression and tension.
Mm-hmm.
So the other way, just falling, you're not aligned in compression. So there is nothing that holds you up more than tension, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of effort for the body. So I would say that if you want to fall, it's a good option. If you want to go out of the axis, it's a good option.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do adornments, maybe for a moment it's also nice and gives you a wider possibilities.
Yeah.
But for all the rest, even for the boleos, I think it's better that you keep the axis, that you keep the balance on
Yeah.
compression also.
Yeah, because here's the thing, like if I'm standing and I'm standing on this leg and
Yeah.
I'm building my weight on top of here, my point of balance, my point of gravity is somewhere here shifted slightly toward the standing leg. I built my weight all here. But if
See.
go ahead.
No, I have few things about this that you just said and that you explained before also in the when you started. And
Uh-huh.
it's like first of all, when you talk about the gravity center,
Yes.
no, a middle point.
Yeah.
Most of the times it's outside of the body as we move, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily a place inside of us.
Right.
And so you showed it actually with your hands. No, it's like when you are in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
the gravity center, it's actually outside of you. It's like more or less around here,
Yeah.
instead of something in here, no, like
Mm-hmm.
a mark in my body.
Yeah.
It's more like it's gonna be migrating the pendle. No, it's actually more like working like a pendle.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
actually more like doing this. So it's around here where you feel that all your forces are uh, towards.
Yeah.
And then as you change support, it makes sense that it travels from one side to
Of
the
course.
other as we have different supports. But then if the legs walk in one line, then probably it will be just a little slightly tiny pendle side
Yeah,
to side.
I totally we're on the same page on that.
Yeah, cool.
But what I was getting at is
Yeah.
that if I'm then in the other system where I'm hanging and
Okay.
the free leg is below the standing leg, then it's difficult for me to have my center of balance. And what I have to do is I have to move this hip out a little bit more in
Yeah.
order to center, in order to balance a little bit better, and my center becomes more closer to actually the free leg.
Yeah.
And this is something that one of the teachers was talking about, and that was kind of difficult for me to to conceptualize. But of course, the other way works much, like, makes a lot more sense in my head, I guess. So I guess where I'm trying to bring this, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, and there is also yeah, before we continue, like there is also this fact that it's not a position itself, no, it's a trajectory.
Right.
So it's different to just stay on the place and study the position than studying a pathway.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that makes a lot of difference, no? Because when we were saying, what about the free leg on this swinging moment? If you know, here I am already oriented towards my forward leg, and my upper body is also oriented there, and the pelvis, then it's because of that going up, because like these three muscles working like a, you know, this toy, this play that it's in the playground of the kids, that one goes up, one goes down. The same law, let's say, the same pattern behavior is happening in our trunk.
Yeah.
So not necessarily you need to put the hip up. It's more about how you balance these three masses on the support, no?
Yeah.
And then so that makes already that the pelvis, it's being folded back and being kind of like with this floating sensation up. That then it's gonna, for the moment of the swing, is gonna give more space for this free leg to pass by. And actually what the biomechanics says is that it starts like curving up, but then when the knee gets forward, it is already going down.
Yeah.
So now, yes, my back pelvis is again up.
Yeah.
You see, so it's not holding until the end.
Yeah.
It's more like it's gonna start. My head now and my chest are first. You know, this plane, in this sagittal plane, and because of this, then it's that my pelvis floats, and then I have all that mass.
Yeah.
To swing forward, and so to not use the muscles of the leg to put my leg front. And also it will be correlative with the hip alignment, hip joint alignment. And what will happen if I drop before? No, so like let's say I'm arriving here, and then yes, I have this deviation that you said to the side in order to give space to this leg in the middle to pass by. Yeah. If I do just this swing, then this one has to actually be with a lot of effort. Like the fascia lata, this tendon and fascia tissue that we have in here grabbing, then it's gonna be a lot of very tense, you know. And the rotators, I think, are gonna also be like kind of like very having to do a lot of effort. And all that you said, to hold a weight hanging from instead of putting everything on the top. And this will also make that this leg has more friction on the floor, because it will get faster to the floor. Like this moment of swinging, it's gonna be like the leg needs to do more articulation than from here holding and then passing by. So it's gonna be, this one is gonna be faster. The one that you hold, you can pass more freely the leg. Yeah. In the other one, the leg has to also deal with all the like the compression forces that are gonna go on it, and having less space between the floor and the beginning of it.
So you have to like start bending the knee and
More, yeah, exactly. And this creates also maybe more friction and more slow down.
yeah.
Because you also have that moment of how to enter in the floor, no? That if it starts going up and then, no, like as we said, like compensating, you start going up and you have a ramp going up and then you have a ramp going down, which is gonna make easier the landing, because you can moderate easier that moment of entering again,
Right.
you know, slowing down rather than directly coming down where you arrive to the floor and then you're already there with a lot of inertia.
Yeah.
In here you have still like a bit more of distance in order to catch that slowing down, no, for the leg to get like, oh, okay, here I am in the floor again, and now I can put weight on. In the other way, it's like all my weight, it's already wanting a support. And so the impact can be stronger also. So then you crash more.
Gotcha.
Imagine that even with high heels, no?
Yeah. Yeah, this is very good. This is a very good point. What you explained with what happens with the free hip as the knee passes and goes forward, then the free hip actually goes below. That is a big clarification for me. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so then I guess what I wanted to bring this to is to understand that we can use both of these systems, both of these concepts for walking, for doing adornos, for doing what's necessary when it's necessary, and not just like sticking to only one or the other.
Yeah, totally. For example, also I think it's related to the height of your partner.
Yeah.
You know, because if I am dancing with someone smaller, no, or like same level than me, or a little bit even smaller, then at some point, I mean, what I do, it makes more sense to bend more. So to incline a bit more the chest. Also, at some moments, I will actually have to do this to get with the partner faster. No, you see, like I don't know how to be clear with this one. So I'm here, no, and my partner is kind of going there, so I need to kind of go into the spiral for an ocho, for example. First is in front, and then it's gonna pass more to my size, to my side. And then in order to do that, what I would do is I would not hold here because my partner is there, you know. Then I might need to, but I will pass faster and I will get already on this leg where again I am oriented towards my support. But maybe it means that at some point I need to, you know, pass through this moment of my body out of my support. But then if I am dancing with someone tall, then it's actually there, it's much more clear my need of keeping here, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Because in a lot of times we're mirroring our partner.
Yeah.
And if our partner is doing, you know, system A, then it makes sense for us to do the system A. And if my partner is doing system B, then maybe it would work better if we switch systems. So okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, this brings a lot of clarity. I very much appreciate your help in this. Very, very interesting subject, because many people I meet, they're like, no, only the aesthetic way, and that's it. The free hip should never be above the standing hip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, but it means that it like you're
You
literally,
sacrifice a lot. You
yeah,
sacrifice a lot doing that.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
this is it can be a good point of discussion in any case.
Yeah. See, I mean, I am happy to that you share these and that people get to know about this and that
Yeah.
there is like a space where this is discussed and this is like upfront
Yeah.
also, because you can have many different whys you do what you do. And that's great, but get to know what is the pro and the contrast of that, no, and of that decision.
Yeah.
It's also good. And also, if you want to mention that I am about to launch a program online.
Okay. Tell me
Yeah,
what it is about.
yeah. So I have this collection. Let's say it's a group of classes that it's focused on. Each one is focused on one different part of the body, and especially observing at joint alignment and what alignment or a healthy alignment means in order to just gain autonomy of the choices that you're going to do in dance. So any style actually can be, for any style of dance can be useful, because it's not oriented to look like in a certain way. It's more like, what do you feel and what is the patterns that are going to be more useful for your tango or not. And then from there you choose, it's your own at the end. But this collection is especially about this. And I am gonna launch it in, I don't know, like, I hope in a month it's ready. I
Okay.
am just like with the technical details, but yeah, in my website it's gonna be there.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I will put your website together with this video for sure. And
thank you.
hopefully this will serve and reach many more people
Oh,
um,
thank you so much.
as
I,
this.
I am super happy and I'm very grateful that you do this. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you, dear. I very much appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon